What the universe removes from your life before you can receive real love. Have you ever noticed how life seems to strip away everything you thought you needed right before something extraordinary arrives? You lose the job. The relationship ends. The friendship dissolves. And in that moment, it feels like punishment, like abandonment, like the universe has turned its back on you. But what if I told you that every removal is actually a preparation? What if the universe isn't taking things away from you, but clearing space within you? Carl Rogers, one of the most revolutionary psychologists of the 20th century, discovered something that changed how we understand human transformation. He found that real love, authentic connection, genuine intimacy, can only enter a life that has been emptied of its false foundations. He called this process becoming a fully functioning person, and it requires something most people resist with everything they have: the complete dissolution of who you pretend to be. Because here's the truth most people never realize. You cannot receive real love while you're still clinging to fake versions of it. You cannot experience authentic connection while you're still performing for approval. You cannot know true intimacy while you're still hiding behind masks you built to survive. The universe knows this, and so it begins to remove systematically and mercilessly everything that stands between you and your authentic self. The first thing the universe removes is your need for external validation. For years, maybe decades, you've been seeking approval from parents, from partners, from friends, from strangers on the internet. You've shaped your personality around what others want to see. You've hidden your truth to avoid rejection. You've silenced your desires to maintain peace. You've become a mirror, reflecting back what people need, while your own reflection fades into nothing. Rogers understood this pattern deeply. He observed that most people live in what he called conditions of worth. They believe they are only lovable if they meet certain standards, if they're successful enough, if they're attractive enough, if they're agreeable enough, if they never make waves, if they never ask for too much, if they never show their darkness. And so they perform, they contort, they shrink, they expand, they become whatever the room needs them to be, and in the process, they lose all sense of who they actually are. The universe watches this, and eventually, it intervenes. It removes the people who only loved your performance. It takes away the relationships that required you to be smaller than you are. It dissolves the connections that punished your authenticity and rewarded your pretense. And when these people leave, when these situations end, you feel devastated. You feel abandoned, you feel like you've been rejected. But you haven't been rejected. You've been freed. Because real love, the kind Rogers spent his life studying, doesn't require performance. It doesn't demand conditions. It doesn't ask you to be anything other than what you are. Real love is unconditional positive regard. It's the radical acceptance of your full humanity, your light and your shadow, your strength and your weakness, your clarity and your confusion. And you cannot recognize that kind of love, let alone receive it, while you're still addicted to approval. So the universe removes the addiction. It takes away the people who fed your need to perform. It ends the relationships that kept you trapped in inauthenticity. It creates the space for you to finally ask yourself the question you've been avoiding your entire life. Who am I when no one is watching? The second thing the universe removes is your tolerance for emotional dishonesty. For years, you've accepted relationships where people say one thing and do another, where words are beautiful but actions are empty, where promises are made and broken, where love is declared but never demonstrated. You've normalized this betrayal. You've rationalized it. You've told yourself that people are complicated, that relationships are hard, that you're asking for too much. But you're not asking for too much. You're asking for the bare minimum: congruence. Rogers identified congruence as one of the 3 essential conditions for psychological growth. Congruence means that what you feel, what you think, and what you express are aligned. It means you don't say you're fine when you're falling apart. It means you don't smile while you're dying inside. It means you don't pretend to love when you've gone numb. Most people live in incongruence. They say yes when they mean no. They stay when they want to leave. They laugh when they want to cry. They perform happiness while drowning in despair, and they surround themselves with others who do the same. The universe cannot allow this to continue if you're meant to receive real love. So it begins to remove everyone who operates in emotional dishonesty. The friend who says they care but never shows up. The partner who promises change but repeats the same patterns. The family member who speaks love but delivers control. The colleague who offers support but spreads gossip. One by one, they leave your life. Or you finally find the strength to let them go. And each departure feels like a loss, like proof that you're unlovable, like evidence that you're destined to be alone. But you're not being abandoned. You're being refined. Because real love requires emotional truth. It demands that people show you who they are, not who they want you to believe they are. It insists on congruence between word and action, between promise and behavior, between declared feeling and demonstrated care. And when the universe removes everyone who cannot offer this, it creates the possibility for you to finally experience relationships where truth is the foundation, not the exception. The third thing the universe removes is your addiction to intensity. You've confused intensity with intimacy for so long that you don't even know the difference anymore. You've mistaken the rush of drama for the depth of connection. You've believed that chaos means passion, that volatility means aliveness, that emotional turbulence means you're finally feeling something real. But intensity isn't intimacy. Drama isn't depth. Chaos isn't love. Rogers spoke about the quiet power of empathic understanding. He showed that real connection happens not in the storm, but in the stillness. Not in the grand gestures, but in the consistent presence. Not in the explosive declarations, but in the steady witnessing of another person's truth. Most people can't tolerate this kind of love. It feels too calm, too predictable, too safe. They mistake safety for boredom. They confuse peace for emptiness. They need the adrenaline of uncertainty to feel alive. So they chase relationships that keep them spinning. Partners who are emotionally unavailable. Situations that are chronically unstable. Dynamics that require constant vigilance and emotional labor. They call this passion. They call this chemistry. They call this love. But it's not love. It's addiction. The universe knows this. And so it removes the sources of your addiction. It takes away the relationships that kept you in a state of perpetual activation. It ends the patterns that confused your nervous system into believing that suffering equals connection. It dismantles the belief that you have to fight for love to make it real. And in the absence of intensity, you feel empty. You feel bored. You feel like something essential has been taken from you. But what's been taken isn't essential. It's destructive. Because real love doesn't spike your adrenaline. It regulates your nervous system. It doesn't keep you guessing. It offers you certainty. It doesn't require you to earn it over and over. It gives itself freely, consistently, without conditions or games. And when the universe removes your addiction to intensity, it prepares you to finally recognize and receive the kind of love that doesn't hurt. The fourth thing the universe removes is your belief that you need to be fixed. You've spent years trying to become better, more healed, more enlightened, more evolved. You've consumed self-help books. You've attended workshops. You've journaled and meditated and analyzed yourself into exhaustion. And beneath all of it is a secret belief that you are broken, and only when you're finally fixed will you be worthy of love. This belief is the greatest barrier to receiving real love. And Rogers understood this profoundly. He discovered that change happens not through trying to fix yourself, but through being fully accepted as you are. He found that people don't transform by rejecting their current reality, but by experiencing unconditional positive regard in their present state. He proved that healing doesn't come from becoming someone else. It comes from being deeply seen and accepted as you already are. But you can't receive this kind of acceptance while you're still at war with yourself. While you're still convinced that your wounds make you unlovable. While you're still hiding your shame, your fear, your anger, your confusion, believing that if anyone saw the real you, they would leave. The universe cannot allow this self-rejection to continue, so it removes the people who reinforced your belief that you need to be fixed, the partners who treated you like a project, The friends who offered unsolicited advice instead of presence. The family members who suggested you'd be lovable if you just changed this or that. The mentors who positioned themselves as superior to your brokenness. These people leave. Or you finally recognize them for what they are and create distance. And in their absence, you're left with yourself. Unfixed, unfinished, imperfect, flawed, human, and terrified that this version of you is unlovable. But this is exactly where real love begins. Because real love doesn't require your perfection. It doesn't wait for you to heal completely before it arrives. It doesn't demand that you become someone else. Real love sees you exactly as you are, in all your messy humanity, and says, "You are enough." This is what Rogers meant by unconditional positive regard. It's not love despite your flaws. It's love that includes your flaws as part of your wholeness. It's acceptance that doesn't require you to be different. It's presence that allows you to be exactly where you are. And when the universe removes everyone who couldn't offer this, it opens the door for you to finally stop performing, stop fixing, stop pretending, and simply be. The fifth thing the universe removes is your fear of being alone. For so long, you've stayed in relationships that didn't serve you because you were afraid of solitude. You've tolerated disrespect, neglect, manipulation, betrayal, because you believed that being alone was worse. You've clung to connections that were slowly destroying you because the thought of having no one felt unbearable. This fear has kept you trapped. It's kept you small. It's kept you accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. Rogers understood that the capacity for solitude is essential to psychological health. He knew that you cannot be truly present with another person until you can be present with yourself. That you cannot choose authentic connection until you've learned that you can survive without it. That you cannot recognize real love until you've stopped settling out of fear. The universe knows this too. So it removes the relationships that were built on fear rather than choice. It creates situations where you have no option but to be alone. It strips away the distractions, the false companions, the surface connections that kept you from facing yourself. And in that aloneness, you panic. You feel abandoned by the universe. You question why this is happening to you. You wonder if you're being punished. You reach for anything, anyone, to fill the void. But the universe doesn't relent. It holds you in that empty space. It asks you to sit with yourself, to face your own company, to discover that you are not as unbearable as you feared. And slowly, something shifts. You start to notice the quality of your own thoughts, the rhythm of your own breath, the sound of your own voice when it's not performing for someone else. You begin to recognize your own preferences, your own desires, your own boundaries, your own truth. You discover that solitude is not loneliness, that being alone is not the same as being abandoned, that you can be your own companion, your own witness, your own source of comfort. And in that discovery, something extraordinary happens. You stop being afraid. You stop settling. You stop tolerating. You stop accepting less than you deserve because you're no longer terrified of being alone. You realize that being alone with integrity is infinitely better than being connected without authenticity. This is the moment the universe has been preparing you for. Because real love can only be chosen by someone who doesn't need it to survive. By someone who wants connection, but doesn't require it to feel whole. By someone who can say no to what doesn't serve them because they're no longer afraid of the empty space. The sixth and final thing the universe removes is your old story about what love is supposed to look like. You've been carrying a template, a set of expectations inherited from movies, from books, from your parents' relationship, from cultural conditioning. You believe love should look a certain way, arrive at a certain time, follow a certain script. And every time reality doesn't match that template, you're disappointed. You're confused. You wonder why love hasn't found you yet, why your relationships keep failing, why you can't seem to get it right. But the problem isn't that you're doing it wrong. The problem is that you're trying to fit real love into a fictional framework. Rogers dedicated his life to studying what he called the actualizing tendency. the innate drive in every organism to become its fullest, most authentic self. He discovered that this tendency cannot be controlled, predicted, or forced into pre-existing molds. It unfolds organically, uniquely, in its own time and in its own way. Love is the same. Real love doesn't follow your script. It doesn't arrive according to your timeline. It doesn't look like what you imagined. It shows up in unexpected forms, through unexpected people, in unexpected moments. And if you're too busy comparing it to your fantasy, you'll miss it entirely. The universe understands this, so it begins to dismantle your expectations. It brings you relationships that don't fit your type, situations that don't follow your plan, connections that challenge everything you thought you knew about love. And each time you resist, you try to force things back into your template. You reject what doesn't match your vision, until finally, exhausted and humbled, you let go. You release the fantasy. You surrender the timeline. You abandon the expectation that love owes you a certain experience. And in that surrender, you become available to what actually is, rather than what you think should be. This is the final preparation. Because real love isn't what you imagined. It's better. It's stranger. It's more complex and more simple. It's less dramatic and more profound. It doesn't rescue you. It meets you. It doesn't complete you. It witnesses you. It doesn't fix your wounds. It creates the space for you to heal them yourself. Real love is Roger's vision made flesh. Two people offering each other unconditional positive regard, empathic understanding, and genuine congruence. Two people showing up authentically, without masks, without performance, without conditions. Two people choosing each other not out of need but out of recognition. And you cannot experience this kind of love until the universe has cleared away everything that would prevent you from recognizing it. So if you're in a season of loss right now, if life feels like it's stripping you bare, if you're watching relationships end and dreams dissolve and certainties crumble, understand this. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. The universe is removing your need for validation so you can recognize unconditional acceptance. It's taking away emotional dishonesty so you can experience true congruence. It's ending your addiction to intensity so you can receive steady presence. It's dismantling your belief that you need to be fixed so you can be loved as you are. It's teaching you to be alone so you can choose connection from wholeness. It's destroying your fantasy so you can recognize reality. Every removal is a gift. Every loss is a clearing. Every ending is a beginning. And when you finally stop resisting, when you finally trust the process, when you finally understand that the universe isn't working against you but for you, something miraculous happens. You become ready. Ready to receive real love. Ready to offer real love. Ready to exist in relationship without losing yourself. Ready to be seen without performing. Ready to connect without fear. This is what the universe has been preparing you for all along. Not to be perfect, not to be healed, not to be fixed, but to be real. And real love only recognizes real people. So let go. Let the universe do its work. Trust the removals. Embrace the emptiness. Allow the preparation. Because what's coming is so much better than anything you could have planned. What's coming is real.